Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Here at Fields & Brown Barbershop, legacy means a lot. We're trying to fill big shoes left by my two uncles and my grandfather, where every haircut came with conversation and every customer left a little taller than when they walked in. The barbershop is about pride. It's about knowing your barber knows your name and your story. Come see us at Fields & Brown Barbershop, where tradition never goes out of style. 3 generations, 1 legacy, your barbershop.
Arctic Air keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we've provided outstanding residential and commercial services through Southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using Arctic Air for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
Arctic Air. When you need us, we'll be there.
Bring your outdoor dreams to life at Loretto Nursery and Landscaping. This one-stop shop can help you get your project done from start to finish. Go see for yourself. They have a wide variety of plants, from tropicals to ferns and trees, plus hanging baskets. What they have to offer goes beyond what looks good. They also supply concrete, mulch, compost, and drainage culverts. Don't forget about their on-lot buildings and chicken coops. You think that's all? You can also stop by to fill up your propane tank. Loretto Nursery and Landscaping has you covered. Stop by 409 South Military Street.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
All righty, and welcome everybody into this Friday edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Marks, alongside our special guest host today, Bryant Gobble. Bryant, thanks for joining me, and we got a bunch of football to talk about today.
I'm excited looking at the slate that we got coming up. A good start tonight with Louisville, Miami. You start tomorrow morning with College Game Day, and right off the bat you get LSU, Vanderbilt, two SEC ranked teams right off the bat. It's an exciting weekend coming up.
Yeah, by far. So definitely one of the best slates we've had of the year, and we'll jump right into that Louisville-Miami game. Louisville 4-1 going on the road to face off with the number 2 ranked Miami Hurricanes 5-0. That one tonight at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Right now, spread's got Miami by 13.5 and over/under of 50.5. This looks like it's definitely Louisville's or Miami's to lose.
I think so. I think Louisville could be sneaky, though. I mean, do we feel like Louisville could be sneaky? I don't know what kind of stats you have in front of you, but just for me, the feeling is if there's going to be a trap game for Miami, this could be it.
Yeah,
right?
This is definitely the best opportunity, I think, for Miami to slip up in the regular season. And listen, ACC games on Friday nights can get a little weird. We had the Virginia-Florida State game earlier this year, even Georgia Tech and Colorado that first Friday night of the year. And Miami and Virginia Tech had a similar trap game last year. So I think it has a very good possibility, but I think Miami's got a little bit too much in the trenches, and I think that's what's really separated them this year. And Louisville's got to protect their quarterback. He's been sacked 7 times in the last 2 games.
Wow.
But yeah, I really do think this one's Miami's to lose. For Louisville, they can't be too aggressive on defense. Trying to send 6-7 guys at the quarterback, because if you don't get to them, well, it's probably going to be a free touchdown for Miami or something pretty close to it. I just think Miami's got a little bit too much. My pick for this one, I'm going to go with the Hurricanes.
Look at the efficiency of Carson Beck I have in front of me. 102 of 139 for the season, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I feel like you take that every day. You're halfway through the season, so imagine, I guess, doubling those numbers. You have 22 touchdowns on the season, 6 interceptions. That's not terrible. On the other hand, Moss, the quarterback for Louisville, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Turning the ball over, he does have significant more pass attempts, 179 total pass attempts on the season. So about 40 more than Carson Beck, but he's turned the ball over 4 interceptions, only turned 7 touchdowns. Yeah. That's not great.
Yeah, Louisville was more of a rushing team early in the season, and then that Pitt game around week 5, week 6, they couldn't get the run game going and have been relying on Miller Moss's arm, and since then we've kind of seen them take a bit of a step back. And Louisville is coming off a bye week. They haven't played since they played Virginia 2 weeks ago, so they've had a pretty good break. But so has Miami. They're coming off their win 2 weeks ago against Florida State. But I'm going to go with Miami. We'll stay in the ACC going to tomorrow morning. The 11 a.m. game on ESPN. Number 12 Georgia Tech going on the road to face off with the 4-2 ranked Duke Blue Devils. Spreads actually got Duke favored by 1.5. Over/under sit right at 60.5. Looking at Georgia Tech's last game, Virginia Tech a win at home 35-20 last week. Duke went on the road and had a big win against Cal 45-21. So looking at this one, Georgia Tech 6-0 for the first time since 2011. Looking to start 7-0 for the first time since 1990, a year that they actually won the national championship. But Duke has looked really good. They had 2 tough tests early in the season with Illinois and Tulane, but have looked really good since then. Darian Mensah has looked great. Nate Shepard, their freshman tailback, has been amazing. But I think the big one here is going to be that Georgia Tech doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot this season. I think only 3 or 4 turnovers on the season. This will be a really bad week to start because Duke is a team that forces a ton of turnovers and a bunch of a bunch of weird plays. I mean, Duke has been able to really capitalize off of other teams' mistakes.
Yeah, Georgia Tech is a really sneaky good football team. Haynes King, obviously the runner that he is, I'm surprised he's held up with all the carries that he has. He has 87 carries on the season. That seems like
that's most than most running backs.
Yeah, that's a lot. And so, I mean, good for him for holding up. I hope he can continue to hold up because he's fun to watch. I remember when Tennessee was in the recruiting battle for Haynes King like years ago. Him and another guy that didn't work out. I think he's still at Florida right now.
Bailey, yeah,
Harrison Bailey, right. He went to UNLV for a little bit. Now he's at Florida. Him and Haynes King were like the prizes of that quarterback class, at least from what I remember. And so it's good to see Haynes King working out here at Georgia Tech. He was at Texas A&M. Again, the rushing is it's kind of scary for a quarterback to run that much. What caught my eye with this game is the total. The over-under is set at 60.
Yeah,
that's a lot of points.
They're seeing some points, and I don't know if I agree because Georgia Tech, they're like you said with their quarterback running so much, it's not a lot of big runs. It's 3-4 yards a carry. It's a very kind of a slow paced offense. But you look, they're second in the ACC in running the ball. But to bounce back off that, Duke, kind of in the middle of the pack in the ACC when it comes to stopping the run. But I think the big piece in this one is going to be Nate Shepard, the running back for Duke. He's a freshman, but he's had his best 2 games back-to-back weeks. Had a 100-yard and a couple touchdowns against Syracuse, I believe, and then had a big game last week on the road at Cal. I think he's really going to be the piece in this one that makes a big difference. And with that, I'm going to go with Duke with the upset.
That's a good pick. I think I'll still take Georgia Tech. Looking at Duke's early schedule, they lost to Tulane. I know Tulane's good, but Illinois, they got a beat down by them. They've tried to correct the ship. They beat NC State 45-33 by a couple of touchdowns. Walked the dog with Syracuse 38-3. That's not good. And they beat Cal.
That was a game they got down 14-0. They scored 45, outscored Cal 45-7 the remainder of that one.
So I'm glad Duke's turning it around, but I just don't think the proof is in the pudding from the eyeball test nor the previous games that they've played. So I would probably take Georgia Tech. They're pretty salty. I feel like they're pretty gritty.
Oh yeah, that is definitely a gritty team by definition, 100%. And the last ACC game on our slate, SMU 4-2 going on the road to Death Valley to take on the 3-3 Clemson Tigers. This one at 2:30 on the ACC Network. Clemson given 5.5 points. Over under sitting at 51.5. Looking at SMU's last game against Stanford, they handled Stanford as most teams have this year, 34-10 last week. And then Clemson, another team with an easier opponent, Boston College, handled that one 41-10. So both offenses are feeling confident, and these are 2 teams that were a little shaky on the offensive side of the ball to start the season, but they've really turned it up ever since that week 4 mark right after Clemson took that loss to Syracuse. It seems like both of these teams have really kind of shifted shifted fronts. And SMU, despite having 2 losses, those are both out of conference. Those were 2 Baylor and TCU. So, this is still a very good SMU team that has a lot right in front of them.
Yeah, SMU is a sneaky good team, I think. Obviously, they made the playoff last year, right? And I'm really disappointed in Clemson from this season. I think this would be a great game for them to win and to dominate. They have so much NFL talent on their roster. It's hard to not see them just being able to, from a talent standpoint, just to manhandle SMU. I feel like that could happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's more likely Clemson blows out SMU here than it is the other way around. We'll see what happens because Clemson has just been so bad at times, so Jekyll and Hyde, and where is the game?
The game should be at Clemson.
Yeah,
so
Clemson.
I would say I think that gives them a bit of
helps,
an edge.
Yeah.
With this one, it's a little tough to pick because both teams have been so good throwing the ball that I think it comes down to the running backs.
Yeah.
For SMU, you have T.J. Harden, the transfer from UCLA. You have Chris Johnson Jr. That's a great name to be following up in your father's footsteps. And then Adam Randall on the ground for Clemson. Clemson has struggled tremendously to get the run game going this year, and Randall's really been the only back that they've been trying it with. SMU has been pretty efficient on the ground. Harden's got some good numbers. Chris Johnson had a big game last week. He's been putting up some impressive numbers. I think SMU is going to be able to control the game on the ground, and with that, I'm going with SMU. I do think that Clemson is a more talented team, but I feel like that they were similar to Penn State, a merchant of the media. They had them so highly ranked early in the season that it was pretty much boom or bust from the start. They had all these guys back from last year. Well, that was a 3-4 loss team last year.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think they'll struggle. I think this one has a chance to be a shootout, but I think SMU is going to be able to control it with their game on the ground. We'll hop over to the Big Ten. Another game going on tonight. Number 25, Nebraska will go on the road to face off with 4-2 Golden Gophers of Minnesota. That one at 7 o'clock tonight on Fox. The spread's favoring Nebraska 7.5 points. The over-under at 47.5. So it looks like this one should be a defensive battle. Nebraska last week against Maryland had a comeback win, 34-31. Minnesota, on the other hand, handled Purdue 27-20. It's the first time this season Nebraska being ranked. We're in the poll for a couple of weeks last year before falling off. This has got trap game written all over it for me for Nebraska because they've gotten that ranking in front of their name again. They feel like things are going back to the way they are. But this is a gritty and a tough Minnesota football team.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the spread's so low, just because Minnesota, the way they control the ball with their ground game, and I think David Lindsey, their quarterback, has had a great season. The predictor is heavy towards Nebraska, and I think they have a really good chance to win it. But if you look at Rayola's last game against Maryland, Maryland has a very formidable defense. But Rayola did not look good at all in that game. He kept him in it, so to speak. But if you go look against Maryland, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
That gave Maryland way too many possessions, and Minnesota's not a team you can do that again.
Yeah.
If he has 3 interceptions again, watch out. But I think the emergence of Emmett Johnson at tailback for Nebraska has made their offense a little more multiple and has not forced Rayola to throw so much. So I'm going to go with Nebraska on this one.
Yeah. Night game in Minneapolis. You wonder, like with all the coaching vacancies, like has a little bit of rumors kind of set in with Matt Rule being placed at different areas and other different coaching things.
And I bet if maybe a Wisconsin job or something opens up, that maybe you could do the same for P.J. Fleck at Minnesota.
Very well could, but the timing of this week kind of points to Matt Rule maybe being a distraction. Maybe it hasn't been. Maybe I'm just theorizing here, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've watched a lot of Minnesota Gophers football because I haven't. I have watched some of Nebraska. I feel good about Nebraska taking care of business, but things could get weird, right? It could get a little weird.
Because Minnesota is known for how good their defense is and how well they are in the trenches, and Nebraska has struggled at times in those spots.
What do you think about Rayola acting like Mahomes? Is that weird? Speaking of weird, that's weird to me.
Yeah, I think the game in Arrowhead kind of confirmed how weird it was because he was going all in on the Patrick Mahomes hair and the beard and the number.
Like, how old is he?
Throwing
He's
sideways.
20-something years old.
Yeah.
He's in college and he's doing
cool
all
if you're
this.
like in high school or middle school and you're emulating your favorite professional player. Still doing it in college is a bit weird. And then you have like the external factor of Patrick Mahomes left the game early. Like he didn't even stay to watch the end of the game. He didn't make any effort to go meet Rayola after the game. So
you think he like lays in bed at night with like a poster of Patrick
over
and he's
his
just
head.
like he has to. There's no way you get to be this way if you don't idolize a guy like that.
It's definitely strange to say.
I'm picking Minnesota just because Rayola is a weirdo. Good grief.
I think that's totally fair. Because what if he tries a sidearm pass and gets intercepted?
Yeah, some of the crazy things Patrick does. Wow.
Yeah,
he could try to emulate that. Yeah, give me the Gophers.
All right, we'll break into Saturday morning. Actually, not the big noon kickoff game. Fox has actually switched it up and made their big noon kickoff a night game. But we got a big one at 11 a.m. Washington, 5-1 going on the road to the other side of the country to face off with 4-2 Michigan. Spread is loving Michigan, giving them 6.5 points. Over under set at 50.5. Washington last week, they made a travel all the way across the country and handled Rutgers last Friday, 38-19. Michigan, though, went to the other side of the country out west and faced USC and were absolutely dominated up front, 31-13. Give up 160 rushing yards to a freshman walk-on running back. Michigan, they're going to have to flush that last week. Washington's in an interesting spot because if you listen to anybody on ESPN or anything like that, they're not going to talk about Washington. You know nothing about Washington if that's your only source of football. But if you listen to some of the people that work with Fox or with NBC, with CBS Sports, the guys that have watched Washington a lot more and are covering that conference, they'll tell you how extremely disrespectful they feel that it is that Washington is 5-1 and not ranked with their only loss being to the number one team in the country. Yep. I think this week is a good week to prove it. We still don't know what Justice Haynes, how he's going to look for Michigan. He got banged up last week at USC, and we saw their offense sputter without him. Can Michigan stop the run? Because I think Jonah Coleman was one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. Yep. And even Damon Williams, a dual-threat quarterback, they could absolutely feast on a defense that is reeling from trying to stop the run. Mm-hmm. And you look up at a 4-3 Michigan, that puts Jerome more on the hot seat because last season wasn't great. I mean, they beat Ohio State and Alabama, but you look at the 11 weeks prior to that, it wasn't great. No. I'm going to pick Washington in this one, and I think they're going to get that win. They're going to get in the top 25. They're going to feel great, and we'll see what the Huskies do down the stretch because with 5-1 and you're only lost to the number one team in the country, let me take a peek at their schedule real quick because that could fare well for them down the stretch with who they have left, possibly a playoff spot. Yeah. Let's see if I can pull that up. Washington schedule.
Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA, and Oregon.
And those are winnable games. Yeah. I mean, Oregon, maybe not. Illinois, maybe not. We don't know really about them yet, but I mean, Wisconsin, Washington, or Purdue and UCLA are all very winnable games. So Washington could be a sneaky last team in the playoff. Not sure, but I'm going to go with Washington on this one.
Yeah, I just wonder about Michigan. Bryce Underwood, he was a big hype freshman coming in, right? And I heard someone talking about this. It feels like he's been running the ball excessively because, he hasn't ran the ball as excessively as a lot of people thought. He's tried to force the throw and the pass more so than what he needs to, almost like he has to prove himself because he came in be like, okay, this guy's a runner. And my first statement about him running excessively, I don't think that was true.
He hasn't ran the ball as much as you would like. 32 carries,
right?
6 games already.
Right. So the point that I heard was made was he's been almost like, I can pass. I can do this. Let me prove it to you. And he hasn't been making the right decisions of when to escape. Yeah. He hasn't been feeling the game out very well. He only has 5 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So that doesn't tell you that he's setting the world on fire. On the other hand, Williams, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception on 158 attempts, 1,600 yards on the season.
He's the real deal.
He's doing really well.
And
doing really well.
Their number one wide receiver, Denzel Boston, he's exceptional as well. And I agree with you about Underwood. I think he's been staying in the pocket too long because everybody talked about last year how Michigan was completely unable to run the ball. Yeah. The only people that had worse passing numbers than Michigan last year are the service academies that run the triple option and throw 5 times a game. Yeah. And so he's trying to prove to himself, hey, Michigan can throw the ball. I don't know if they have the talent out wide yet. Andrew Marsh, freshman wide receiver, he's been a welcome surprise. Donovan McCulley's been all right, the senior wideout, but other than that, they have no help for him. And without Justice Haynes, I mean, that's a 7.5 yards per game, or 7.5 yards a carry guy that has 100 carries already this season. So that's a big piece to lose. And I just don't know if Michigan has enough in this one. With Underwood's numbers, only 5 touchdowns through 6 games, under 60% completion percentage. It just feels like that this is a game where some of his mistakes get exploited.
Yeah, Washington's favored. Do you feel like the game's at Michigan, so like I feel like if it was reversed, it would almost be a pick'em. I feel like in my favor, in my opinion.
I would say, yeah, with it being at Michigan, it's definitely favoring towards Michigan. And yeah, I usually say that if you flip the home sites, that's usually a 7-point flip. So they really think Michigan can handle this one. I just don't see it. They got gashed last week by a USC team that people had called soft, said they weren't good, said their defense wasn't good, and they got absolutely manhandled by them. So I just like Washington in this one.
I'll pick Washington. A bunch of cheaters in Michigan.
Yeah,
I don't know why that burns me up about the
cheating thing,
the Connor Stallions thing, and they just got a slap on the wrist for it. Like, give me a break.
I would say I'm
going to hate on them
about that because the NCAA waited too long to enforce a punishment that was actually going to affect the people that should have been punished.
Yeah.
And they're not going to punish all these people from Michigan now that had nothing to do with it back then because most of the people from that instance are gone, and I understand that, but still, I mean, it feels like that all you have to do now is just cheat and wait 5 years to get caught, and then nothing happens.
If it takes cheating for Tennessee to win a national championship,
I'd take it.
I'd take that. I'd take that trade. Michigan's living the dream. They got a natty. Yes, their head coach is gone, but like they're still like competing in the Big Ten. They're only 4-2. Like they're having a great season. They got a top recruit like Bryce Underwood in. Yeah. That's obviously not affecting them that much.
No.
Give me, man. Can we please just get a natty? Can Tennessee please just win something
someday? We'll get it. We'll get it someday.
Good grief.
Hey, maybe sooner rather than later. I mean, that 2024 baseball team came out of nowhere, so
that's true.
Who knows?
That's true.
The night game on Peacock was going to be a televised game until one team decided to lose 3 straight games, 2 of which they were favored by 20 points. Penn State and Nittany Lions at 3-3. Probably the most shocking thing of anything we've seen this year. Going on the road to face Iowa at 4-2. This one at 6 o'clock on Peacock. I don't anticipate anybody outside of Pennsylvania or Iowa watching this game unless you were a fan of one of these 2 teams, and even then, I don't know. Spread's given Iowa 3 points. Over under set at 39.5. The spread is saying 20 points will win this game, and I would say it's true.
Yeah,
we look at what Penn State did last week, or lack thereof. I mean, a 22-21 loss at home. Mm-hmm. There was 110,000 people that watched Northwestern beat Penn State as a 20-point dog last week. Iowa, I think their best game of the season last week at Wisconsin, 37-0 on the road at Camp Randall. I mean, that is an impressive stat. I'm curious how Penn State looks as a team because new coach, a backup quarterback.
Do we know who that is? Do we know anything about the guy?
Honestly,
put you on the spot.
Your guess is as good as mine with because it's been Drew Aller for 4 years, and now that he's gone, Ethan Grunkmeyer. So his stats for the season right now: 8 of 11. So I mean, not terrible.
Freshman,
105 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Maybe he could. I always see that when teams fire a coach or a quarterback gets injured and backup comes in, they'll look good for a first half. I think that they could have an impressive first half, but playing Iowa, everybody's regarding Indiana as by far the second best team in the Big Ten. People don't remember that Iowa game from a couple weeks ago. It was the last Saturday in September. Indiana won that game 20-15.
Yeah,
Iowa had the ball on their side of the 50. Or on the Indiana side of the 50, driving, tied at 13 with a minute and a half to go. And things happened. Your quarterback got hurt. Things happened, and you end up losing that game. They were that close to winning that game. And Indiana maybe not getting talked about as good. Maybe they don't beat Oregon. Who knows?
20-15 was that final score, right?
Yeah. So, Iowa's offense has looked much better than it has in the past 2 years. Will there be more than 40 points scored in the game? Probably not. I really do think the first to 20 in this game wins. And with that, I'm going to go with Iowa.
Yeah. That's
numbers won't prove what anything I said right, but
no.
I just have a feeling.
Iowa's quarterback, I'm sitting here looking at different stats for the different games. Iowa's quarterback hasn't surpassed 1,000 yards on the season.
No,
And we're halfway through the season, and he's thrown 130 times, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 743 yards.
Yep.
Good grief.
Yeah, they're not
That's
attacking
so
you downfield.
bad. Gosh, talk about. I don't want to watch that.
No.
Tennessee, Alabama's going to be on, so
Yeah.
I definitely won't be watching it. You can keep me updated on it, but Drew Aller going down and being out, that's sad. I hate to see James Franklin go. He was a good coach, but man, just going out in a blaze of fury, or a blaze.
Definitely not one of glory.
No, not a blaze of glory. He definitely went down in a blaze, though. It was
more of a crash and burn.
It was a crash and burn, and it was hard to watch.
Let's just talk about Penn State for a minute. I mean, look at where they were 3 weeks ago. Let's go back to. Let me find the exact date. When
they started their season on
3-0.
September 6th, and by September 27th, they had lost to Oregon. Oh, so
let's go to week 5.
sorry.
When they lost to Oregon, heading into that game, they're the number 3 team in the country. They're undefeated. I believe the spread had them favored in this one going into it. Closed Penn State -4.5, and everybody felt good about Penn State. Most of the people on game day picked Oregon or picked Penn State. So it was feeling like a big victory coming for Penn State, and they were this close. Because I don't know if you watched overtime, but the second overtime when Oregon had to go for 2, it was picked off.
Yeah.
So all Penn State had to do was score and get their 2-point conversion, and they win.
Yeah.
First play of overtime, you have it wasn't even a bad interception. It was just an incredible play made by the Oregon linebacker. You lose that one, a heartbreaker. You go on the road to face UCLA, who just fired their coach, and Nico turns into a great quarterback all of a sudden, and you get upset there. And then you come back home, and everybody's just talking, there's no way they lose to Northwestern, right? There's no way. And then they do. And we're here. They have no quarterback. I feel bad for them because this is the exact recipe you have to enter into a situation that Tennessee just did.
Oh, yeah.
Because you look, they just wasted $50 million to fire their head coach. So they're already reeling from money. I mean, they're one of Adidas' biggest sponsor. How much money can Adidas give you to hire a coach?
Yeah.
You really don't know.
Yeah. Starting the season, I was wrong just a second ago. They started on August 30th. They were ranked number 2 when they played Nevada. Won 46-11. Second game of the year, 34-0. Third game of the year, 52-6. You're feeling good.
Yeah.
You're scoring 46, 34, 52, and then you get beat at home in the whiteout against Oregon. I feel bad for him. Something weird I saw earlier. James Franklin's going to be on game day tomorrow. Did you see that?
I was about to say, I was just about to get into that.
Is that weird?
Oh, extremely
Like,
weird.
awkward?
He's going to be
why is he-
live on the set in I believe the game's at Athens.
It's in Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, so
Georgia,
he will be
yes.
live in Athens on the set to talk about this.
That's got to be awkward.
I don't know exactly what time it is, folks, but whenever that comes on, you
Gotta watch that.
You have to watch that because that is
that.
going to be absolute cinema. I mean, I don't know if he's going to come out there guns a-blazing or if he's going to try to throw a sob story in there.
Maybe this is his TV debut.
It could be.
Like he could. A lot of coaches sometimes take a break for a year, right? And they get into TV before they get back into coaching, or they just get into TV and they never get out. They never go back. So,
and I think James Franklin has been one of those guys. I'm not 100% sure about that. That like when you get later in the playoff, he's one of those guys that's like a ESPN, like in the studio kind of guy, like what Dan Mullen was the past couple of years.
I think he's been on a couple of times.
So,
definitely.
Maybe this could be his introduction into TV, and if it goes well enough, put him on Big Noon Kickoff and kick Urban Meyer to the curb. That dude doesn't know. I could go into a lot about Urban Meyer and just the lack of talent on Big Noon Kickoff, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, ESPN picks up Pat McAfee, and Fox tries to do a funny thing and picks up Dave Portnoy, which is...
That's been a disaster. Talk about a ball of fire. That's been garbage.
Yeah. All right, on to the good guys conference, so to speak, the SEC, and we have a great slate of games. We'll start with the one you mentioned earlier, number 10 LSU, 5-1 on the year, going on the road to face number 17 Vanderbilt. That one will be the 11 o'clock game on ABC. Spread's got Vandy 2.5. Over-under set at 48.5. Since 1978, Vanderbilt has played 177 games against ranked opponents, and this is the first time they have been favored in one of those games. So, I mean, Vanderbilt being favored in a ranked game is something that I didn't see happening in the first 25 years of my life, and the fact that it is, it's incredible. Looking at these teams' last game, the LSU last week was on the road at South Carolina. so to speak, handled business 20-10, but South Carolina has really struggled this year, and LSU didn't look great. I mean, that was a Big Ten game. It was ugly. There was a bunch of turnovers. It was just not a fun game to watch. Vandy is coming off a bye week. Their last game against Alabama took that tough loss. I think that one had more of Diego Pavia talking crap in it than this one will have. I haven't heard him say anything about LSU this week. Not to mean that he hasn't. LSU's offense has not been good this year. It was very highly hyped up going into the year. You have Garrett Nussmeier, you got Barryon Brown, Anthony Anderson, young tailbacks, and Caden Durham. And it's just sputtered. So obviously we know Nussmeier is going through some sort of an injury. Is it the patellar tendonitis in his knee acting up from the offseason? Is it a middle body injury like an oblique or something? Because you can tell when him throwing the ball, he's in pain.
Yeah.
And he's not wanting to say he's injured to tank draft stock. I understand that. And their offense has struggled because of it. And, they're bottom 5 in the SEC in most offensive categories. They're the worst when it comes to rushing offense. And Caden Durham right now, I think he's listed as doubtful. So that takes away any bit of running you have from your offense. And, you've scored 21 points per game in conference. And some of those games have not been great. Competition. South Carolina, they're not very good. Ole Miss is good. Florida's not very good. Like, you've scored the least points you've scored in SEC games against bad opponents.
Yeah.
So I just think this one has Vanderbilt written all over it. I think Pavia is going to be able to run the ball, and I think that Tim Beck's going to have something drawn up for Blake Baker's defense that LSU has not been ready to see. Because you look at who LSU's played in SEC. South Carolina, good mobile quarterback, but Lenore Sellers has no help.
No.
Trinidad Chambliss, that was one of his first big games for Ole Miss. He's got help around him, but that was his first big game. DJ Lagway, that was his 5 interception game.
Yeah.
So their defense has been able to
5 interceptions.
Yeah. And they threw it 50 times, so it was
sure.
They were kind of asking for that. Something about, I called this back in the summer when me and Hayden were doing our schedule predictions for the SEC. I picked LSU to win this game on the schedule, but overall I said my upset of the year, and this was before the season. I said I think Vanderbilt will beat LSU in Nashville. That's my upset of the year. And I'm riding with the Doors. Give me Vandy in this one.
Yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, it's not looking like an upset at all because they're actually favored, which is wild to me. Whenever that line opened up,
I think it was around the 10 mark.
It definitely came back down to earth, and there is a world where LSU wins this, but I'm with you. I think Vanderbilt's good. Garrett Nussmeier's arm, it is shot. Like, you just watch it, it doesn't zip. There's nothing, no velocity on it. If you look up velocity ratings, I'm sure he's like on down the list, right? He's thrown the ball 204 times this year, and some of these other quarterbacks we've already talked about have been like in the 150, 160 mark. He's thrown it 204 times, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Diego Pavia has only thrown it 160 times, so 43 less attempts, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. There's got to be something wrong with Nussmeier. He's got to be hurt or something. I don't know. I don't want to pick Vanderbilt. I hate Vanderbilt. It is in Nashville.
See, I'm the kind of Tennessee fan that doesn't despise Vanderbilt with every fiber of my being. Like most, I actually have a soft spot for them just because I've known how hard they've had it. Football.
There's a part of me
I want Vanderbilt to be really good when we play. I want like a top 10 Tennessee Vanderbilt game in Nashville on Thanksgiving weekend to make it feel like something. Yeah,
that's fine. If Vanderbilt it's fine if Vanderbilt gets good, but I don't want them to get too big for their britches. Like, give me they're what are they 5-1?
Yes.
5-1. If they beat this LSU team, they'll be 6-1, 2-1. Towards the top of the SEC standings.
There's a lot of 2-1s right now in the SEC, and there will probably be even more on Saturday. Looking at what got Vanderbilt beat against Alabama, it was funny enough. It was their quarterback Diego Pavia had 2 interceptions, had the fumble.
Yeah, the turnovers hurt him.
Yeah, I think he was being a bit selfish in that game because he thought he had to do it himself, kind of similar to what he did the year before.
Sure.
I think that week off helped them. I think it's going to help them reset. I think Cedric Alexander's going to have a big part in this game. But you got to be able to find Junior Sherrill, and you got to be able to get Eli Stowers, your tight end and your number 1 receiver, the ball. If that can happen, Give me the Doors.
Yeah, I do think LSU's defense is what's going to keep them in there, though. So
low-scoring game. I think like a 24-21 is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because Vandy isn't the kind of team. They've put up some gaudy numbers this year, but aren't the kind of offense that's going to be able to put up 50 week in and week out in the conference.
Okay, without looking, you might have looked at this earlier. What is their highest scoring total for the season?
It was the 73-0 against Georgia State, right?
Yeah, 70-21 against Georgia State. That's wild for me.
And it was funny because they lost that game last year.
Yeah,
at Georgia State. It was
That's wild for
beat
me.
Alabama and lost to Georgia State within like 3 weeks of each other. I mean,
that's when they took the goalposts into the river.
Yeah, took them to Broadway.
They wanted to beat Tennessee so bad. Did Tennessee restart that like in 2022? Like maybe it's just me, but looking back at that game, before that game, yes, there were instances of goalposts being torn down when they stormed the field, but I feel like it's more of a thing now.
The throwing it in the river I think was a Tennessee thing. Yeah. I haven't seen other people typically throw it into the river, but we saw Kansas do it a couple weeks after Tennessee did it that year, and then Vanderbilt obviously.
I just feel like we brought it back in. Like it used to be a thing, and
what most teams do is they have like the goalpost that they can drop them and then and stuff like that so they don't get torn up.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like to Tennessee it was like $50,000 for each goalpost. Which is a crazy amount of money. So I think most universities have forms to keep that from happening because that's a good chunk of change to throw goalposts in the river after every big win. All right, we'll stay in the morning slot on the SEC Network. Number 14, Oklahoma, going on the road to face off with South Carolina. Line's got Oklahoma minus 5.5, over under at 42.5, so not seeing a lot of points in this one. Looking at Oklahoma last week, they lost to Texas 23-6. South Carolina last week lost to LSU 20-10. I still don't think John Mateer is anywhere near 100%. He wasn't on the injury report, and I'll check again. I don't think he was even listed on it. I don't think he was listed on it Wednesday night. He's still not on it now. So he's not 100%, and I think playing each week is going to slow that process of getting his hand back to 100%. And I think he's going to struggle again this week, especially because they're going to be without one of their running backs, Javonte Barnes. He's not their leading rusher, but it's Blaylock and Mateer that have the bulk of their rushing yards. And Mateer, coming back was not going to be as much involved in the run game, especially with his hand injury. So they were going to have to use Javonte Barnes, Jaden Ott, and Barnes is out. Ott has been a complete no-show, and I think it's going to force Mateer to run, and it could bang up his hand even more. But the thing about this one is I'm not sure South Carolina is going to be able to put up enough points to win this one. My pick's Oklahoma. I got this one as a 21-13 or a 21-10. I think Oklahoma's going to be able to score enough to win, but it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I would probably pick Oklahoma. I just don't think either one of these teams are very good.
No.
Oklahoma
it is a disservice of what Mike Shula has done to Lenore Sellers. That dude is a Cam Newton prototype, and you've absolutely wasted him with no talent and poor play calling.
Yeah, I was really a big fan of Lenore Sellers, and I still am.
Yes.
And I just think his draft stock has gone down because of what has happened this year. Like, he was still projected in some areas to be a first-round draft pick, depending on how desperate an NFL team gets. But I don't see that happening now so far with starting 3-3 and him just not looking great.
Yeah.
I would love to see South Carolina win this game. I don't think Oklahoma's very good. They try to do too much through Mateer, and they have to have someone else.
Yeah, and I would say with them having to run everything through him, it puts him at such a spot where he's not going to be able to heal properly because that hand's going to be getting banged up every week because, trust me, Dylan Stewart coming off the edge for South Carolina, that dude is going to want to see a lot of John Mateer, and he could. Oklahoma's offense had a tough time holding them on his feet last week in the pocket against Texas. I think that this one, I don't think South Carolina will win it, but I think they're going to make it very, very tough.
They will. Remember, at the first of the year, I might have said this the other day. Mm-hmm. At the first of the year, Oklahoma was ready to run Venable's butt off if he didn't start the season well. Like, they were ready to fire Brett Venables at the first of the year.
He was one of the 2 or 3 SEC coaches on the hot seat.
So all of a sudden, Mateer comes in and makes him look serviceable. I think that win versus Auburn at the first of the year was overinflated. Obviously, Auburn isn't very good, and
I think they were kind of handed that one too.
So. They were, and so I watched both that game, and I said both of these teams neither one of them are good.
After the Oklahoma-Michigan game, I came in that whenever my next show was, maybe it was Monday, maybe it was Tuesday, and I came in and I said neither one of those teams are top 25 teams.
No. So Oklahoma is who I thought they were at the first of the year, and until proven otherwise. And South Carolina has a good chance. South Carolina, I think, has an underrated home field environment. So this is at home. It's in the mornings, 11:45. So
but it was pretty crazy last year for that LSU game. So South Carolina fans can get up for early games.
What's Oklahoma ranked? Are
14.
they ranked? Yeah, they can get up. They can get up for this. So we'll see. I mean, Sellers has to put his Superman cape on. He has to be the Lenore Sellers that earned his multi-million-dollar deal to come back to South Carolina. He has to be that guy. And I think he can be. So it would not shock me in the least to watch South Carolina win. I don't think Oklahoma is very good.
Yeah.
43.5. Is that what you had for over?
I had 42.5.
42.
I topped it down yesterday. So
42,
they
43.
right.
Right. 42, 43.5. Yeah, give me the under. I feel like this could be a...
Yeah. This is not going to be a pretty game.
Yeah.
But, going back to the LSU Vandy game, talking about getting up for a game, LSU's having to play at 11 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yep.
And, Brian Kelly's in his press conferences saying, hey, mimosas start at 6 a.m. Like, I'll go into the rant next week about LSU and not games and their fans, because it is the statistics and what I've heard from LSU fans are just absolutely hilarious. We'll get into that a little later. The big game of the day, we got Ole Miss going on the road to face off with the number 9 Georgia Bulldogs. That one at 2:30 on ABC. Got Georgia minus 7.5. Over under set at 54.5. Looking at what Ole Miss did last week, it was their worst game of the year. Did not look good in the early slot against Washington State. Going back to Georgia's last game against Auburn, they didn't look good either. A big second half on the ground really helped them in that one to take down Auburn 20-10. But talking about Auburn, are they really that good? We don't know. Georgia has not looked good in the first half all season. Let's just look. I mean, we can talk about their first 2 games where they didn't look great. The Tennessee game, they weren't great in the first half. Alabama game, they weren't great in the first half. Auburn, they scored 3 points in the first half against Auburn.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has been better in the first half. They scored like 31 in the first half against Arkansas, which most teams should be able to do that. Yeah. They've been at 17 first half points against Ole Miss, so they've been able to do a lot. I don't know if Trinidad Chambliss is going to be able to handle this environment.
Yeah.
Because you can't let turnovers kill you. He's not a big turnover problem, but I think it's going to be a raucous crowd down there. Now, to be said, they said the same thing about Joey Aguilar. He looked really good against Georgia.
He did.
Say the same thing about Todd Simpson. He looked really good against Georgia. But I think the way this one's going to go is going to be one in the trenches. Yeah. I'd say that for a lot of games, but this one more than others. Georgia's top 5 in the SEC in rushing offense. Yep. Ole Miss is bottom 2 in the SEC in rush defense. Yep. That is going to change my pick. I'm going with Georgia. Yeah,
I'd pick Georgia. Somebody can call me when Lane Kiffin wins something of significance, because it isn't anytime soon. Yeah. That guy, I would have welcomed him back with open arms when we 100%. made the Josh Heupel hire. I don't want him now because I feel like we're above. Yeah. I feel like we're above Lane Kiffin now. We're past him. Like, we're over him. It's like the old girlfriend, right? We're over you. We're good.
I'd say the last 3 coaching searches, please, Lane Kiffin, we'll take you back. Not
anymore.
Now it's like,
I'm good.
I'm full Heupel.
And Georgia still has, and you saw it last week versus Auburn. You saw it versus Tennessee. They still have that championship DNA. They're not as strong as last year.
And that's the thing. Without that, they're a 3-3 team right now.
Absolutely.
We're looking about how bad Ole Miss is going to beat them.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're a 3-3 team, but Kirby is a dang good coach. I don't want to give it props, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Kirby's a good coach.
If he can keep clapping like this and not calling it a timeout,
that was so bad.
I think they'll be fine.
That was so bad. We didn't really talk about that on Monday. Maybe you did, but we didn't talk about that in X Sports Live. But yeah, either way, I think Georgia,
I'm going to start putting a new segment on Monday's show called "How Bad Are the SEC Refs?"
We're going to do an SEC ref analysis.
Yeah, because they're all terrible.
And we're going to send it into the office in Birmingham and get Greg Sankey's attention. No, it'll fall on deaf ears. No, Ole Miss won this last year, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty handedly.
Yeah, 24-10.
Neither one of these teams are the same. They're different quarterbacks, different key skill players. I don't think Ole Miss has the firepower to get it done. I think Georgia is a good team, and they're getting better, which is bad news for the rest of the SEC.
It's good news for Tennessee. Our only loss right
Sure.
now is to a team that could be top 5 in the country come Monday.
Yeah, and I mean, Gunnar Stockton is getting more comfortable. He made some heck of throws against Tennessee in the game at Neyland to seal the game. He led amazing drives to end the first half last week
really
against
the whole
Auburn,
second half.
and the whole second half he just got it done. Georgia's gonna win this one. They might win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't think Ole Miss has got it.
They very well could. Mississippi State at Florida. Just want to go over this one real quick. Both of these teams' last games were against A&M. Both of them kind of got manhandled. Florida by 17, A&M by 22. Mississippi State going to be without their leading rusher, Fluff Bothwell. So that will kind of make them more of a pass-heavy team. So they're going to need a big day from Blake Shapen and Brennan Thompson, Anthony Evans, that run game. But it feels kind of like the Texas-Florida game, and the way that, if Mississippi State struggles to throw the ball, they will not have a good game. But I'm curious about Florida. Because how does Florida come back out? Because this doesn't have a big game feel. Mississippi State's 4-2 and you're 2-4. Neither one of you have a number by your name. This doesn't have playoff implications. This doesn't have implications for Atlanta. And there are reports coming out of Florida that this is Billy Napier's last game, no matter the outcome. So does the team? I would say, and that may not be true. That may be true. I'm curious how Florida gets up for this one because that was a big thing going into the Texas game where they're going to be ready for Texas. Yeah. They were. That crowd was ready. The team played good. Yeah. I think that both of these teams are watching a bunch of film against Texas A&M and seeing what they can do about that. I think Florida wins this one, but this one could be an ugly one too.
It could be. I think Florida wins. This is at the Swamp, right?
Yes.
Yeah, at the Swamp. Mississippi State is they're a good team, but
they're not a great team.
They're not great. They're serviceable. Texas A&M kind of kept them at arm's distance. They weren't really ever really competing to win that game.
Yeah.
Florida wins this. I guess Tennessee's dream scenario would be Mississippi State to win, Florida to lose. Florida continues to down spiral and be a dumpster fire. Or win against Mississippi State looks even
really good.
better. I don't think that's going to happen. Fingers crossed it does.
The one that me and you were going to be watching Saturday night at 6:30 on ABC, number 11 Tennessee.
UNA versus Eastern Kentucky. I'm just kidding.
Number 11 Tennessee, 5-1 on the year, going on the road to face off with the number 6 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, also 5-1. Spread's got Alabama 8.5, some at 7.5, some at 9. But Alabama a big favorite, over under right at 60. That is way too low. Tennessee's last game was a win against Arkansas last Saturday, 34-31. I think that score is a bit skewed by the junk time touchdowns from Arkansas and Tennessee not trying to be aggressive on offense. So, a comfortable win there. And then Alabama was able to get it done at Missouri last week to win that one 27-24. I've talked to Tennessee fans. I've talked to Alabama fans because that's the only people around here all week. And I don't know if Tennessee can get enough stops. That's all I've heard. Well, I'll be the first to tell you this game is not going to be determined on stops because there's not going to be a lot of them.
Nope.
It's going to come down to turnovers. I really do think that. We saw last week, Tennessee's first game where they didn't have a big drop problem. Joey Aguilar didn't have an interception.
Yeah.
His interceptions have come, I think 4 of the 5 have come off of somebody's hands or somebody slipped in their route.
Yeah.
If you don't have instances like that, I think Tennessee could fare well. Alabama's rush defense, they looked really good last week against Missouri and kept Ahmad Hardy at bay.
Yeah.
But that Florida State game that I've told everybody week in, week out to throw out the back door, Florida State ran all over them.
Yeah, they did.
Vanderbilt ran the ball quite well against them. I think Tennessee's going to have to run the ball.
Was Deshaun Bishop?
He's
listed as probable.
I think he was probable on Wednesday.
I wonder, him and Jim Miller are both listed as probable. I wonder if there's a little gamesmanship from the coaches. Both of them could play.
Hey, they'll play, but it could be 3 snaps.
Right. I wonder if there's a little gamesmanship, so you're preparing for something, but the coaches are really going to emphasize something else. So, the running the ball. If both of those running backs play, then I think both teams are going to run the ball really well. I don't think Alabama's seen an offensive line like Tennessee's so far this year. I think Tennessee's offensive line is doing really well. We'll see if they can start leaning on somebody and start pushing some guys around. I think you have to. I'm going to ask you, What's the number? What's the number Tennessee has to hit to win this? Give me one.
The score in my head right now is 34-23. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to lean on the lower end of things. I don't think the over is going to hit. I really don't, just because of the fact that Alabama's scoring drives are like 6 and 7 and 8 minutes and like 12 to 14 plays.
Okay.
They take up half a quarter. It doesn't give you enough time to do that. Things like put up a ton of points. I think a big thing of this is going to come to the right side of Alabama's offensive line. Caden Proctor's locking down left tackle. He's amazing.
Right.
That right side has been tough.
It's a little soft.
And who's typically the rusher over there? That's Josh Josephs or Caleb Herring, one of Tennessee's Leo, the speed rusher.
Yeah, come on.
That could favor Tennessee a lot because I'm thinking of the Mississippi State game. Josh Josephs or Tyree West, whoever it was, forced that fumble coming off of that side.
I think it was Josh Josephs came out killed.
And
Shapen.
ran over Shapen.
Shapen didn't want to get off the ground after the hit. I would love to see Joshua Josephs do that to
It would be nice.
Simpson. Just put his butt in the ground. That would be awesome. In Tuscaloosa is just hard to win.
Yeah.
So you do have to have some weird things happen. I think a lot of the things got to break Tennessee's way. Tennessee cannot commit more than 8 penalties, I don't think. Not down there, not on the road. If you were at home, maybe some things go differently. But if you keep committing penalties at the rate that we've seen, it's going to happen. Now, I think Josh Heupel is always going to have a penalty issue.
Yes.
I think that's how he gets his players to play loose. Like, he gives them a little – it's a little give and take.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, okay, you can play a little loose, but the other side of the thing is playing loose also allows a few more penalties. So – I don't think Tennessee needs to get too penalty heavy. I think they need to really limit the mistakes because you can't give to Alabama and expect to win down there with it playing with a lot of mistakes. So
I'm really curious what the defensive and the turnover situation is going to look like because Alabama is one of the best teams in the country at forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot on their own, but Tennessee's defense is predicated. They either get a turnover or you score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many turnovers there are and how many Tennessee would need to win this game.
Ty Simpson only has 1 interception on the year.
And that was against Vanderbilt.
That doesn't make me feel great.
It doesn't. But I think Tennessee's defense will be able to get it done because I think they're going to be a little more prepared. Because I don't think Jam Miller is going to be able to carry the ball 20 times a game. And I think that has been the biggest help for Alabama in their last 3 games, their 3 wins.
Yeah.
Because that was when Miller came back against Georgia. He was good against Georgia. He was good on the ground. He was greater on the ground against Vanderbilt. He was good on the ground last week against Missouri before he got hurt. If he can't take a lot of snaps, that's putting a lot on Kevin Riley. That's putting a lot on some younger guys that haven't gotten a ton of snaps. And when they haven't been too great. And haven't played in a big SEC night environment like this because they're a bunch of young guys.
Yeah.
But it's at Alabama. I will say this. The team who's won the rushing battle has won this game every year since 2003.
Yeah.
Which was the last time Tennessee won in Bryant Denny Stadium. So you might not have to win the rushing battle.
Sure.
But I hate to do it, but I'm picking Alabama.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. I mean,
and if I put any money on the game, it will go to Alabama.
There's a reason we haven't won in 22 years. I think there is a way and a path for Tennessee to win. I think I'm on the other side. For Tennessee to win, I think we have to score 40. I'm thinking that it could be another shootout. I think Tennessee's defense would be well serviced if we had our 2 best cornerbacks in the game. But Ricky Gibson and Jermon McCoy, neither one are going to come back.
Nope.
You're still going to have holes in the secondary. Can Arian Carter play well? Like, I feel like that guy is a little feast or famine. Like, he had the great, arguably the game-saving play. It was the game-saving play against Mississippi State, right?
Yep.
Him jumping over and knocking the ball down. But at other times, he just gets lost, or takes a bad angle on a tackle. He's good when he's good, and he's high on a lot of people's lists for top linebacker in Tennessee, or top linebacker in the SEC. But I think there's a lot of holes in Tennessee's defense.
It's going to come to linebacker play.
Yeah, and so I'm, my wife is from Alabama. Her family would be very happy if I picked Alabama. The game's in Tuscaloosa. Things don't look so great for Tennessee.
But
But I'm not picking Alabama. I can't do it. I wear the T on my chest. I'm picking Tennessee, dadgummit. This is not... We cannot walk in here with a scared attitude. We can't act snake bit. Nick Saban ain't walking through that door.
Nope.
He's not walking through that door. So, give me Tennessee. The Vols are going to win. 45 is close. I'll say 45-38.
All right. I like that. I'm picking just because I really do think Alabama's going to win the game. The sports report reminded me.
Where did you go to college?
Oh, I got a fancy piece of paper that says the University of Tennessee in Knoxville.
You need to go turn it in and go get one from Tuscaloosa.
Hey, I will say I've been to 2 Tennessee-Alabama games in my life. Tennessee's won both of them.
Yeah.
I paid a combined total of $30 for those seats.
Nice.
Let's go student tickets. All right, on to our last conference, the Big 12. We got Arizona, 4-2, going on the road to play 5-1. Houston now at 11 a.m. on FS1. Arizona, spread's got them a 1.5, over under at 46.5. Arizona's last game was a heartbreaker last week at home against BYU, 33-27 in double overtime. Houston last week got back on track after that loss to Texas Tech and stomped the Cowboys, Oklahoma State, 39-17. Arizona coming back after a tough loss. Do they improve, almost beating a really good team of BYU, or do they let BYU beat them twice? That's going to be the big thing. But listen, Willie Fritz was Tulane's coach back, when they won the Fiesta Bowl against USC or whatever bowl game, maybe the Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl, something like that. When they beat USC and Caleb Williams in that bowl game, they have Willie Fritz as their head coach. He's at Houston now. They have a top 2 or 3 defense in the Big 12. No Fifita and Arizona's offense have had a bit of a turnover problem. I think defense is going to play a big role, and Houston's going to force some turnovers. And give me the Cougars to start off 6-1 their second year in the Big 12.
I'll pick Houston as well. Looking at Arizona's numbers, I don't know much about them. I haven't watched a lot of Arizona football this year. I've seen a few plays and a few highlights, but they've scored 3. No. Excuse me. They've scored 48, 23, 39. In their losses, they scored 14 and 27. Yep. I think Houston will just outscore them.
And that's the thing. In their losses, their offense has struggled. Yeah. And Houston's got the kind of defense that can do that to you.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite game in the morning slot. We have a new segment coming up. I'll have my games to watch for each time slot. This will probably be the one I have my eyes on, and not because of implications or anything, just because it's going to be fun football. 4-2 Baylor on the road at 4-2 TCU. That one, the 11 a.m. game on ESPN2. Spread's got TCU -3, over-under sit at 65.5. That is not enough. Baylor's last game was against Kansas State. They won 35-34 2 weeks ago. TCU's last game was a loss to Kansas State, 41-28 last week. Now, Kansas State's had some running back injuries that have probably played
Did Baylor kind of stumbled out of the gate, right?
Yeah, they had that loss to Auburn to start the year.
Yeah.
And then got a ranked win over SMU. But
that's not looking very good, losing to Auburn.
Listen, this is going to be a shootout galore. You got, I think this is the 2010s, early 2000s Big 12 written all over it. Just going across the country with stats, this is number 1 and number 3 in the country in passing yards. Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback for Baylor, 2,058 passing yards. Josh Hoover at TCU, 1,893 passing yards. And I think this is slated to have a ton of points. Josh Hoover, the quarterback at TCU, has been way more efficient at home than he has on the road. But funny enough, Sawyer Robertson has been way better on the road than he has at home.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to pick a winner in this one because it may just be who has the ball last. So I'll go with TCU at home. But the real winner of this one is the fans that get to watch this one in person on TV because this one is going to be an absolute shootout, and I am so excited for that one. We'll jump to the next game in the Big 12. Oh, actually, let you pick this one.
I'll probably pick TCU as well. I think they'll just outscore Baylor. Yeah. TCU is favored, so maybe that's the easy pick. But we'll roll with TCU.
I don't hate it. I'm going with the Horned Frogs, too. Number 7, Texas Tech at 6-0, going on the road to Tempe to face off with the Arizona State Sun Devils 4-2. That one at 3 o'clock on Fox. Spread's got Texas Tech's -7 and an over-under of 51.5. Texas Tech's last game, a dominant win over Kansas 42-17. Arizona State's last game, getting blown out by Utah 42-10. Texas Tech has been dominant both on the road and at home, with or without their quarterback Baron Morton, because they have another really good one behind him in Will Hammond. But the run game has been awesome. Dickey, he had 21 carries for, I believe, 220 some odd yards.
He has 8 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah,
that's really good. There's 6 games.
And that's the thing. Morton and Hammond are some of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country,
Yep.
and they can run the ball so well. I mean, they're the second best rushing team in the Big 12 behind team playing in the next game we'll be talking about. For Arizona State, Sam Leavitt could be back. I think that was him not playing was kind of to their demise last week because it was Jeff Sims, former quarterback that spent time at Nebraska, Georgia Tech, is a running quarterback, not known for his arm. So Utah was able to put 7-8 guys in the box and just attack the run all night, and Arizona State couldn't do anything. Arizona State also gave up a ton of rush yards in that game to Utah. I think that's going to be the difference in this one. I think Cameron Dickey's going to be the difference in this one. I think Texas Tech wins and by a lot. Their closest conference game is 24 points, and it was against Utah.
Yeah. Point totals, 60. Let me get a full schedule. Point totals for Texas Tech, 67, 62, 45, 34, 35. Ho-hum scoring 34 and 35 points. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And last week they scored 42. I think their defense also ranks in the top echelon. Yeah, it's up there. I'm really impressed with Texas Tech, and I think they'll get it done. Arizona State's not a bad team, but I'm blown away with Texas Tech this year. Who would have thought?
Yeah, Joe McGuire, the head coach there, has done an absolutely great job with the Red Raiders, and Lubbock must be a fun city to be in right now. Our last game of the night, and probably one that I would be the most excited for if it wasn't on the same time as the Tennessee-Alabama game. We got the Holy War, number 23 Utah at 5-1, going on the road to face off with the BYU Cougars, who are number 15. They're undefeated still. Spread gives Utah 3.5 on the road and over-under of 49.5. Utah's last game, that dominant win over Arizona State. BYU's last game was a win over Arizona in double overtime last week. I really do think that the Holy War is a top 5 rivalry in the country and could be even better when both teams are good like this year.
Yeah.
Utah, looking at them, they have rolled against everybody not named Texas Tech. Yeah. Texas Tech beat them, I think, like 45-21 or something like that. It was not a very close game. Utah also has the number 1 rush offense in the Big 12. BYU, on the other hand, has the number 2 rush defense in the conference, so they're not letting people run on them. This game will be one in the trenches right there. If both quarterbacks are forced to be throwers, which I think is something that could happen in this game, I think it favors BYU slightly with Bear Bachmeier because he's had games where he's had to throw the ball a ton. Devin Dampier, not as much the quarterback for BYU. I love the Utes, but give me the Cougars starting 7-0. It could be a big year coming in Provo.
Yeah, I actually drove through and visited Salt Lake City this past summer. And beautiful place out there. Really enjoyed spending what little time that I did. I saw a lot of BYU flags, saw a lot of Utah Utes stuff. You play college football 25?
Yeah, a good bit.
Utah was my dynasty team.
Oh, I love
so
it.
playing with Dampier was good. Now he hasn't lit the world on fire this year. I think a lot of people had high expectations for him. I think he can play well. If he does, Utah will win. But I think BYU's too much. So give me the Cougars as well.
I will say Utah is one of my favorite teams in the country because some of the sets they run are extremely weird because what they like to do is get their best players the ball the most often in offense. They have tight ends line up at running back. They have safeties and corners and linebackers lining up at wide receiver and tight end. I mean, it is extremely weird. Maybe that they could pull a trick play out of that and shock BYU, but I just think it being at home, I think that favors BYU too much. So I'm going to go with the Cougars there, and you as well. Are you going with Utah or are you going with BYU?
Give me the Mormons.
All right, we'll go BYU. Games to watch, I'm going to go through every time slot. Tonight, I think you got to watch Louisville-Miami. I think that one's got a chance to be really weird. I think that one has a chance to be an upset. And if Miami's going to lose a game this year, it will be to Louisville. In the morning slot, I got Baylor-TCU. I think that one's going to be extremely fun. If you want to watch a bunch of points, if you want to watch a gritty football game, a good football game, LSU-Vandy is what you want. That's going to be a game one in the trenches, a game one up front. But if you just want to watch people throw the ball around while you're doing some yard work or stuff early in the morning, put on Baylor and TCU. Afternoon game, it has to be Ole Miss and Georgia. Really the only big game on in that slot, and it's earned it. I mean, Georgia has struggled at times, but are still really good, still winning ball games. Ole Miss is yet to be tripped up this year. Who knows? And then the night games, obviously Tennessee-Alabama will be the one that I have my eyes on, but might have a second screen on the Utah-BYU game because that one should be a good one.
Shouts out to YouTube TV.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't, actually.
I'm a Hulu guy, so I don't have
They
the quad
should
box.
cut the check for the free pub right there.
Oh,
But
man.
the quad box is
It's clutch.
is something to behold.
Yeah, I will say I do appreciate that ESPN with their new direct-to-consumer app has tried their quad box thing. I found that it's been a bit laggy when I've tried to do more than 2 games at a time. But listen, there's a ton of great football. I mean, you can flip the channel during commercials, do it the old-fashioned way. But yeah, we got a great week of football, and we'll be back on Monday to talk about it. So for Bryant Gobble and Michael Marks, this has been Mark My Words College Sports Show.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.